whispers of the heart. Romance in ancient Kege Kangleipak, or in medieval times, was deeply rooted in cultural practices, seasonal rhythms, and oral traditions. The Meitei society had its own beautiful, organic ways for young people to meet, express affection, and form bonds, often woven into the rhythms of nature, festivals, and daily life. Romantic customs can be inferred from puyas, the ancient Meitei texts. These texts span the mythical, early historic, and medieval periods, covering a wide spectrum of romantic expression, from divine unions to rural courtship customs. Here's a glimpse into what romance might have looked like. One of the most striking traditions was Kolang Ishe, village love songs sung across fields. No specific puya names this custom, but it is implied in social records and oral traditions associated with Kambethoibi shearing. During planting or harvesting seasons, boys and girls worked on opposite sides of the fields. Amid their labor, they would sing playful, romantic verses to each other. It wasn't just entertainment, it was coded flirtation. It was spontaneous and public, but deeply intimate. This was one of the most natural forms of courtship, where both love and labor danced together. Such romance was not hidden, but culturally embedded, likely popular from the 7th century onward, when agrarian society expanded and rice cultivation intensified. Ethnographic studies and oral accounts suggest this practice was widespread in agrarian regions of Kangleipak, especially among Meitei Lorembam clans. Festivals like Lai Haraoba provided spaces where young men and women could meet under the watchful yet permissive eyes of the community. The dances and rituals were steeped in mythology, but also opened space for personal connections. Dance forms like Daogal Zagoi created opportunities to share silent glances, gestures, and proximity. Courting during these festivals was subtle. Romantic gestures were hidden in movements, or offered through flowers and symbolic gifts. Many historical elopement stories trace back to such festive spaces. Panthoibi Zagoi, a dance dramatizing the romance of Panthoibi and Nongpak Ningthu, itself served as a template for idealized love. References to courtship behavior during Lai Haraoba are found in Panthoibi Kongul and ritual texts associated with the Maybe tradition. Cultural festivals were codified spaces for romance, suggesting an organized but organic form of dating rooted in religious context. These festivals broke down village routine, giving space for personal connection, yet everything was within the bounds of tradition and community respect. Sometimes, when love was strong and societal rules too strict, couples resorted to elopement, known as Nupi Chingba, a deeply cultural way of affirming love when families disagreed. This wasn't scandalous if handled respectfully. In fact, it was one of the socially acknowledged outcomes of true love, especially if both families agreed afterward. The couple would later return and seek clan reconciliation through elders. Some marriages were thus formed out of personal romantic choice over arranged proposals. The custom reflects the negotiation between individual desire and collective norms. Nupi Chingba is mentioned in clan records and continues as a socially acknowledged practice in Meitei society. In Panthoibi Kongul, Panthoibi defied arranged marriage norms to pursue true love with Nongpak Ningthu. Unlike typical tales where men fight for women, this story reverses the norm. Panthoibi becomes the seeker, the fighter, the chooser. Her defiance was not rebellion alone, it became a sacred act. The love between Panthoibi and Nongpak Ningthu was sanctified in the hills, and their union became the origin of Lai Haraoba, the most sacred festival of Meitei culture. Between the 8th to 15th centuries, as Tangta and Lallup evolved, romance and martial virtues were intertwined. A brave warrior returning from the battlefield often carried the honor to seek the hand of a woman admired from afar. Romantic stories were linked to courage, discipline, and honor, traits women admired. Elements of this can be inferred from martial traditions in the puyas and historical practices associated with Lallup. One of the most compelling warrior romances from the historical pages of Kege Kangleipak is the tragic tale of Kadang and Tonu, a story that stands at the meeting point of history and legend. Informal nighttime community gatherings often involving dance, music, storytelling, or folk theater, Shumanglila. These gatherings allowed boys and girls to interact casually, sit near one another, and exchange glances and whispers. A boy might sit near a girl, share betel leaves, kwa, or whisper a verse. Romance wasn't openly displayed, but smiles, small exchanges, and shared silences built emotional bonds. Post-drama mingling often led to subtle conversations, matchmaking by friends, or future meetings. Boys and girls held hands in a large circle, dancing rhythmically to drums under the moonlight. This was one of the few occasions young men and women could physically touch by holding hands in public, leading to silent romantic communication through eye contact, smiles, and rhythm, often led to matchmaking or elopement stories. In a society deeply shaped by ritual, symbolism, and subtlety, romantic expression often hid in games, dances, songs, and glances. Likon Sanaba, though simple in form, was a culturally sanctioned medium through which feelings could be expressed without breaking decorum. It's an example of how ancient Manipuri society, despite its restraint in open romantic interaction, created spaces of coded freedom, where the spinning of a cane circle could mean more than just a game. It could hint at a heart set in motion. In certain narratives and oral traditions, a boy offering his hoop to a girl, or letting her play with it, could be a symbolic gesture of affection or interest. Girls, too, in return, might playfully refuse or accept, creating a coded exchange of interest. While the sport itself was not romantic, it allowed young men to display physical prowess, a trait often admired by girls watching from the sidelines. The winner would sometimes be offered a garland by a girl, symbolizing admiration or even love. Kong, one of the Manipuri traditional indoor game, played on a flat court using a kong, seed, or disc. Men and women would sometimes play in teams during leisure or festival times. Team interaction often led to jokes, laughter, teasing, and familiarity, eventually developing into deeper bonds. Though not a game, the act of fetching water from ponds or bathing in rivers often served as gathering points. Boys would try to coincidentally meet girls, offering help or engaging in lighthearted teasing. Some elopements reportedly began with such accidental riverbank meetings. In Kamba Thoibi shearing, the lovers, Kamba and Thoibi, conducted secret night meetings, facilitated by friends, amidst intense social pressure. It wasn't always scandalous. Often, it was part of oral storytelling culture, passed on as tales of romance and longing. By the 10th to 14th centuries, romantic love had evolved into a layered practice involving emotion, symbolism, resistance, and spirituality. Expressing romantic emotions through encoded speech as dialogue and poetry used to veil intentions. Some visit temples, creating spiritual and emotional bonding. While there is little concrete evidence of written letters in early Kangleipak, oral poetry and symbolic offerings carried deep romantic meanings. In Panthoibi narratives, weaving isn't just a craft. It's a symbol of beauty and domestic readiness. Girls express themselves through intricately woven patterns, gifts for their lovers. A man's acceptance of a hand-woven gift meant romantic commitment. Weaving as a medium of feminine expression is noted in Panthoibi narratives and clan traditions passed orally. The exchange of such gifts marked a nonverbal declaration of affection and often a willingness to pursue union. Today, the love songs remain, the dances continue, and the silent codes once whispered across rice fields still echo in the stories of our ancestors. Romance in Kangleipak was not hidden. It was woven into life. Through work, worship, and wordless exchange, young people found ways to meet, admire, and bond. Romance was a dance of ritual, nature, and community consciousness, a graceful, patient affair rooted in tradition.